let's finish setting up the character's foot roll. So in this scene, I've rigged the right foot the same way we have set up the left foot. So now that we have our helpers in place, we're ready to work with the reaction manager. Now before we start to use that, we'll go ahead and create a custom parameter that will be used to control our foot roll very efficiently. We'll go ahead and add that custom parameter to our leg control because it makes sense to find it here. So with it selected, if we were to head over to our Modify panel, you'll see we have several properties tied to this object. So what we can do is clear all of this out by working with an attribute holder. With the control selected, we'll go to our modifier list, we'll press the A key until we find the attribute holder. So take a look, we have this clean slate now. Let's go ahead and right click on the attribute holder, we'll choose rename, and we'll rename this to Extra Controls. Alright, so now we're ready to create a custom parameter. With our control selected, underneath animation, we'll find the parameter editor, and here's the hotkey for it. So this is where we add, edit, and delete parameters. Let's go ahead and add one. This will be a float type, so we can go ahead and use a value to drive our foot roll. And then we'll go ahead and work with a spinner as our UI type. You could always use slider if you'd like. The name, well, we'll simply call this foot roll. Alright, so from here, we can decide our min and max range. So our from range we'll have set to -10. When we're here, the heel will be up. And then our to range we'll have set to +10. So by the time we reach this value, the toe will be up. Alright, so the next thing we need is to choose a default value. Typically this is going to be 0. So we'll just leave it at that. And take a look, we have this testing attribute just to take a look at how it will look when it's finally added to the Modify panel. Let's go ahead and now choose Add, and you'll see it has been added to our object. Alright, great stuff. Now what if we wanted to edit those values or delete the attribute? Well, here's what we do. With our control selected, we get back to the parameter editor. Remember, the hotkey is Alt-1, and then we choose Edit Delete. If you decide on changing a value, you'd go in, highlight that parameter, you'll see all of its properties load in, and then you can go ahead and change those values however you'd like. Very important, once you decide to change that value, you then want to choose Accept Parameter Changes and then Apply Changes. Now if you want to remove the parameter, you'd simply choose Delete Parameter, and then you choose Apply Changes. So now the parameter is gone. Alright, if I were to go ahead and close that out and just press Ctrl-Z to undo that back, we get back to our parameter. Alright, so now that we have this, it's time to work with the reaction manager. Very important, let's make sure that everything is zeroed out. So we'll go ahead and zero out the foot roll channel. We'll go ahead and also zero out the transforms of each helper. So let's go ahead and press F3, and we'll just be on the safe side and grab each helper. That way, we're working with 0 values. Alright, so with all of these selected, we'll Alt right click and choose Freeze Transform. Alright, let's go ahead and now start to work on this left foot. And the right side will be the exact same steps, only you'll want to work with reciprocal values. So if we use a value of, let's say, -40 to roll the toe up, you'd want to use +40 since, remember, this leg chain has been mirrored. Now if you don't mirror the chain, if you have just cloned it over, well then you're using the same values. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to it. Underneath animation, we'll grab the reaction manager. Now what we need to do is choose a master parameter. Well, of course that's our foot roll channel. So we'll choose Add Master, and now we need to select the object that we'd like to add. And then we need to navigate to our foot roll channel. So that's Modified Object, Extra Controls, Custom Attributes, and there it is. So now it's time to choose slave parameters that will be controlled by the master. Well, we know that it's going to be the toe, foot, and heel helpers, but what axis? Let's go ahead and grab our rotate tool and let's make sure our coordinate system is set to gimbal mode. this is going to show us the true orientation of the selected object. It will also give us an idea then as to how much we need to rotate this control. So take a look, it's the Z-axis we need to tie in for the toe control, for our foot, and for the heel as well. So let's go ahead and start loading these in. Next to add master, we have add slave, and it kind of works the same way. We need to go ahead and pick the object that we'd like to add. But next to add slave, we have add selected. I like to use this instead because it allows us to have the object already selected. And now when we choose add selected, it's very easy for us to navigate to the parameter we need to tie in. Alright, so we're going to transform rotation 0 Euler, and we'll use the Z-axis. There we go. So again, with our master still selected, we can now go ahead and grab the next object. I'll go ahead and grab the foot helper. We'll choose add selected, transform, rotation 0 Euler, Z. We'll do the same thing for our heel. So with that selected, again, we'll go back, choose rotation 0 Euler, Z. Very nice. If you're working with multiple masters, you just want to make sure that that master object you need to add to is highlighted. Alright, so take a look. We have our initial states. They're all zeroed out. Very nice. So now it's time to make a few changes here. Here's how this works. We go back to our master parameter and we set our value. So let's go ahead and set this to positive 10. And now we enter into create mode, because without create mode we can't move in that axis at all. It's tied down by the reaction manager. So once we enter in create mode, now we can start to adjust the object. So we'll go to our toe and we'll go ahead and just rotate that up. I might go ahead and press F3 as well just to take a look at things in textured mode. I'll go ahead and just start bringing this up, maybe to about a value of negative 60. So again, since we're using negative 60 here, we'd use positive 60 for the right toe. Alright, but once we have made that change, we're now ready to create a state. And take a look at what has happened. You can see, based off of this graph, how the transition will react. It's going to be a linear transition. And here are the values that we've saved. So our master parameter is set to 10, and our toe is set to negative 60. Very nice. Now we need to exit create mode, so we no longer are able to tweak the rotate Z of this toe helper so we don't throw it off. So take a look, when we grab our leg control, as we start to use our slider, now we're able to get a foot roll. How cool is that? So how about the heel? Well, what we can do is go ahead and set this to negative 10. We'll go ahead and select our master parameter. We'll now choose create mode. We'll go to that helper, and now we can go ahead and rotate it up. So we can always bring this to about a value of 50. Alright, great. So from here, we'll go ahead and create a state, and then exit create mode, and now we'll test this out. So we'll grab our control, and take a look. Our foot roll is coming together. Let's go ahead and add in between 0 and 10. So we'll go to about 5. And again, we'll highlight our master parameter. Let's enter create mode. And here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and grab the toe. We're going to zero out its rotate Z axis. So the foot is planted, and we'll grab our foot helper, and we'll have that rotated up. So we could always bring this to about a value of negative 40. We'll go ahead and create our state. Great, once that has been created, we can then go ahead and turn off create mode and test this out. So now we've added a nice little in-between. How do you edit a parameter? Let's say if on frame, or on value 10 I should say, we wanted to take the foot here and rotate it back just slightly, just so that the ankle isn't as extreme. Well, what we could do is first go to the value that we'd like to edit. So I'll go to 10 here. And then we'd go ahead and find that property in the reaction manager. So I'll go ahead and just scroll down until we've managed to find our state. Here it is. And here is the foot at that state of 10. So with that highlighted, we can now choose edit mode. We can go ahead and grab that helper, so I'll grab the foot helper and let's go ahead and rotate it back just slightly. Let's say to about a value of positive 10. So once we've done that, we can now go ahead and turn off edit mode. It's as simple as that. So now that value has been saved. So watch this. When we go back to our control, as we start to use our foot roll, take a look. We now have created a change where the ankle isn't as extreme when we get to our max value of positive 10. Beautiful stuff. So I'll go to right click to set the foot back to its skin pose. And that's it for this lesson. So I'll go ahead and leave the right side up to you. We're using the exact same steps. And in the following lesson, we're going to go ahead and set up more custom parameters to control the fingers and toes. And then following that, it's basically a matter of doing a bit of cleanup work, making sure that all of our objects are stored in the layers that we've made and making sure that our controls have been frozen so that we could always get back to our skin pose to make it easier for animators. So things like that. We just want to do a bit of cleanup work, and then we know afterwards we'll get right into our assignment for this level. So just a few more steps and we're finished.